Welcome to the August Pyramid Portfolio Update. I hope you'll find the information in this video useful, but disclaimer, please note that this is not investing advice. It's just my portfolio as it stands on Monday, September 1st, and can change at any time without previous notification. Following an investment strategy without doing the work yourself is almost guaranteed to result in losses. So please be careful since it's your responsibility to do your own research before investing. At the end of the video, in this week's bonus section, we will be discussing the fact that change is the only constant in investing. But for now, let's take the usual look at this month's activity. It was another crazy month, which starts to become kind of the usual, with the Romanian government aggressively increasing taxes, again, the tariff saga continuing, and the US Russia meeting. As usual, I did not sell anything this month, and in terms of buying, I rebalanced a little bit, so I bought some more Romanian Fidelis bonds to roll some maturities that expire this month. One good news is that the rating agency Fitch kept the Romanian country rating at investment level, but there is still a long way ahead of us to get out of the hole. I also placed some more anti-inflation bets on gold and Bitcoin since I expected inflation to go higher in Q3 and also added a bit to my Evolution AB and Bursa de Valori Bucharest positions. Plus, I added a new company to the watch list, Safe Tech Innovations, a cybersecurity company from Romania. In terms of cash flow, dividend season ended, but I got some coupons from my Romanian government Fidelis bonds and from Impact Developers, ticker IMP27E. My other corporate coupon, Rio 26, was delayed slash not paid, but this was not a surprise since, as I mentioned last month, the company is in deep trouble. That being said, the portfolio as of September 1st, 2025 is largely unchanged and looking like this. Please pause the video if you want to analyze each investment in detail. I have an update. I actually misplaced two bonds offerings that I bought last month. I have a different Excel sheet with the bonds and did not add them, so the bonds allocation and overall portfolio last month should have been actually 0.5% higher. It doesn't seem super professional, and to be honest, I'm not sure how I missed it, but it's good that the revision is upward and not downwards. It's like finding money in the pockets of a pair of jeans you want to wash. A nice surprise, but it doesn't really change anything. That being said, the current pyramid allocation portfolios look something like this. Overall, the portfolio was up plus 0.31% for the month, even with Bitcoin and Romanian stocks going down, and has a 3.81% return year to date, plus living expenses. The difference from last month to 93% is, as I mentioned before, the bonds. Now, before going to the next section, if you are interested in the subject, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps bringing this completely free information to more and more people. As mentioned at the beginning, in today's bonus section, we will be discussing the fact that change is the only constant in investing. The S&P has reached new all-time high this month, going over 6,400 for the first time. So the question everybody is asking, is the S&P 500 overvalued right now? As Strat analyst Tom Lee said, this has to be one of the most hated rallies ever, but let's look at it in a little bit more detail. The current PE multiple for the S&P 500 is the same as in the early 2000s during the dot-com bubble, and it's somewhere around 26-29 times. That is high compared to historical data. However, we need to take into consideration that only about 10% of the companies are the same now that were also in the S&P 500 in the early 2000s, and the nature of the company has changed. It has more tech, which means higher margins. And truthfully, now all companies are to some degree tech companies, meaning they use software in a meaningful way to boost productivity. Higher productivity usually means higher margins and more profit, so it should result in a higher PE ratio. That reminds me of a story from Greek mythology, which I am also a big fan of. The story of Theseus, famous for slaying the Minotaur and his ship, which became a paradox and common thought experiment about whether an object is the same object after having all of its original components replaced over time. typically one after the other. In Greek mythology, Theseus was the mythical king of the city-state Athens, and he rescued the children from King Minos of Crete after slaying the Minotaur in its labyrinth, and then he escaped on a wooden ship to Delos. Each year, the Athenians would commemorate this by taking the ship on a pilgrimage to Delos to honor the god Apollo, which helped. Over time, the old planks started to decay, and they were substituted by new strong timber one by one. A question was raised by ancient philosophers. If no pieces of the original ship made up the current one, was it still the ship of Theseus? This is now known as the Theseus paradox. So, why do I mention it? This is a big problem as long as time, and it has been explored for millennia, and different civilizations have their own versions. In Japan, it is a famed temple that was replaced in time log by log. In the Persian Empire, they had the 10,000 immortals, famous for the Battle of Thermopylae featured in the movie 300, which, when one died, was replaced immediately by another one, making them immortals. And many, many other examples. But the question always remains, was the new version the same as the old? Just because we call one thing by a specific name, does it make it so? If I call a rock an apple, can I eat it? The answer seems to be leaning towards no. And if so, when can we say that it became something different? When 1% is substituted, so it's a little bit different, or more than half, or all of it? This might be a cool story, but the question is, how does it help us invest? Well, if the S&P 500 is no longer the S&P 500 of old, should we apply the same rules as we did 25 or even 50 years ago? We see the S&P 500 as a monolithic, unchanged entity, but that is not true. It now has companies like MicroStrategy, Block, Palantir, the Magnificent Seven, which are of course more risky, but also have more upside, and different types of company should have different PE ratios. So, to take this all home, let's go back to one of the most famous quotes in investing attributed to famed billionaire investor Sir John Templeton, who said, "The four most dangerous words in investing are, this time is different." However, even he acknowledged that sometimes it is truly different. Historical patterns can be disrupted by permanent structural changes, such as technological innovation or monetary policy, or the creation of new financial instruments. What this means is that investors who dismiss historical patterns and assume the current situation is uniquely exceptional risk making costly mistakes. What we don't take into consideration are aspects that don't change that much over time or ever. If, let's say, the S&P 500 P ratio can be higher, we accept that. But the behaviors that drive people into action, influence their thoughts, and guide their beliefs are stable. They're the same today as they were 100 years ago and will be 100 years from now. So, for example, right now we have the AI revolution, in quotes, but we forget that before that there was the buzz of electricity and the internet mania, which were also important milestones, but people tend to price the eventual benefits higher and closer in time than they really are. For example, all the internet companies were priced like they were gonna take the whole market, which of course some of them did, like Amazon and Google, but most of them didn't, like Yahoo, AOL, Pest.com, etc. In conclusion, change is the only constant in investing, and even you as an investor may not be the same investor over time. Similar to the ship of Theseus, you can change your belief strategies, becoming more conservative or more risk seeking, depending on different factors like your age, knowledge, developing events that happen in your life, etc. But, and this is the art of investing, it is up to you to understand if this time is truly different in a meaningful way, and remember that most often than not, it isn't. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you find this useful, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next month. La rivedere.